She sat alone at the bar, Lisa, a name whispered rather than announced. Her presence was a statement, a symphony of darkness and allure. The bar's dim lighting accentuated the sharp angles of her face, high cheekbones, piercing blue eyes rimmed with kohl. A slash of red lipstick dared you to look away, but it was her tattoos that truly captivated. Intricate designs swirled around her arms, a tapestry of ink and rebellion. They snaked up her neck, whispering secrets only she knew. Each tattoo told a story etched in pain and beauty. Lisa was a walking contradiction, fragile yet fierce, vulnerable yet untouchable. Tonight, she was a storm waiting to be unleashed. Her fingers, adorned with silver rings, tapped impatiently against the bar top. She took a long drag from her cigarette, exhaling a plume of smoke that curled towards the ceiling like a phantom. The scent of jasmine from her perfume mingled with the bitter tang of stale beer, creating an intoxicating aroma. Men watched her from afar, their gazes hungry and hesitant. They recognized the fire that danced in her eyes, a fire that could warm and consume in equal measure. Lisa saw their stares. She met their gazes with a cool indifference that bordered on disdain. They were moths drawn to her flame, but she craved something more. Something real, something raw. She craved chaos. He walked in like a predator. Taylor, tall and muscular, a force of nature disguised in denim and leather. His dark hair was cut short, revealing the sharp lines of his jaw. His eyes, the color of aged whiskey, scanned the room with a quiet intensity. They settled on Lisa, their gazes locked across the crowded bar, a silent acknowledgement of a shared energy. Taylor moved towards her, his movements fluid and purposeful. He radiated an aura of confidence that was both alluring and intimidating. Years etched on his face spoke of battles fought and won. A scar, barely visible beneath his left eye, hinted at a past shrouded in mystery. He stopped in front of her, his presence cast a shadow over her, momentarily eclipsing the dim lights of the bar. Lisa met his gaze without flinching, her blue eyes glinted with a mixture of curiosity and defiance.
"Whiskey,"
Taylor said to the bartender, his voice rough like gravel. He didn't take his eyes off Lisa. The air crackled with unspoken tension, a silent storm brewing between them. He was the thunder to her lightning, and the night was about to explode.
You staring at me, or are you just trying to remember where you left your manners?
Lisa asked, her voice laced with amusement.
"Little of both, sweetheart."
Taylor chuckled, the sound deep and resonant. He took a sip of his whiskey, his eyes never leaving hers. The conversation flowed as easily as the alcohol. They spoke of nothing and everything, sharing snippets of their lives in between sips and whispers. Lisa with her sharp wit and cynical observations, Taylor with his quiet intensity and unexpected humor. He was intrigued. She was a puzzle he wanted to solve.
"Those tattoos, they tell a story."
They tell 1,000 stories, each one a piece of me.
"And what about this piece?"
Taylor asked, his fingers brushing against the delicate tattoo of a butterfly on her wrist. She shivered at his touch. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it spoke volumes. The air between them thickened with unspoken desire.
I guess you'll have to get closer to find out.
Lisa murmured, her eyes locking with his. The challenge was issued and accepted. They left the bar together. No goodbyes, no explanations. Just a shared need to escape the suffocating air of the bar and explore the burgeoning tension between them. The night air was thick with humidity, mirroring the heat that simmered between them. They walked in silence, their bodies brushing against each other with every step. A silent acknowledgement of the desire that pulsed between them. Taylor's apartment was sparsely decorated. Dark leather furniture, bare walls adorned with a few framed photographs. It was a reflection of the man himself, uncomplicated, raw. Lisa ran her fingers along the back of his couch, her eyes taking in the details of his space. It wasn't much, but it was his, and that intrigued her. He poured them both a drink, scotch, neat, no need for pretense. They drank in silence, their eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. The tension in the air was almost tangible, a spark waiting to ignite, and then he kissed her. It was a kiss that spoke of need and desperation, a clash of lips and tongues and teeth. They moved together like dancers, their bodies entwined in a symphony of passion and need. Clothes were shed with reckless abandon, inhibitions forgotten. In that moment there was only desire. The aftermath was a tangle of limbs and sweat-slicked sheets. Lisa lay in Taylor's arms, her head resting against his chest. The steady rhythm of his heartbeat filled the silence. The air was thick with the scent of sex and something else, something akin to vulnerability.
What are you thinking?
Nothing.
Lisa hesitated. She wasn't used to this intimacy, this raw exposure.
Don't lie to me.
I hate this.
Hate what?
This closeness, this vulnerability.
Taylor chuckled humorlessly.
You think I like it?
You don't?
Sweetheart, I'm terrified.
For the first time that night, Lisa saw a flicker of something other than desire in his eyes. Fear. The admission hung in the air between them, heavy, suffocating. Lisa, accustomed to being the guarded one, found herself thrown off balance by Taylor's honesty.
Why?
Taylor ran a hand through his hair, his usual confidence seemingly shaken.
Because I let myself forget how much it hurts when it ends.
His words struck a chord within her. Lisa, despite her tough exterior, knew all too well the pain of a broken heart. She had built walls around herself, brick by painful brick, to avoid ever feeling that way again.
So we don't let it end.
That's not how this works, sweetheart.
Why not?
Her eyes, usually cool and distant, blazed with a fire that took Taylor aback.
Because this is just a night, a temporary escape.
His words felt like a slap. Lisa, fueled by a potent cocktail of vulnerability and anger, lashed out.
Don't you dare diminish this. Don't you dare pretend that what we just had meant nothing.
The air crackled with tension. The storm that had been brewing all night had finally broken. Taylor watched Lisa, his initial surprise giving way to a grudging admiration. He hadn't expected this raw, unfiltered emotion. Her vulnerability, far from being a weakness, was both terrifying and exhilarating. He saw a reflection of himself in her fury, the same fear of vulnerability masked by a carefully constructed facade.
I'm not diminishing anything.
He reached for her hand, his calloused fingers gently stroking her skin.
But we both know the rules of this game.
Lisa flinched at his touch, but didn't pull away.
Maybe I don't want to play by the rules.
Taylor's heart clenched. He saw a flicker of something in her eyes that mirrored the turmoil in his own soul. A longing for something more than fleeting encounters. He knew he should walk away, end this before it went any further, but something held him back. Maybe it was the raw honesty in her eyes, or the way she challenged him without hesitation. Whatever it was, it chipped away at the walls he had so carefully erected around his heart. He realized he didn't want to play by the rules either.
What do you want, Lisa?
Taylor asked, his voice husky with a vulnerability he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. Lisa hesitated. She had never been good at expressing her true feelings. Vulnerability was a luxury she couldn't afford, but something about Taylor, about the way he looked at her with a mixture of understanding and desire, made her want to try.
I don't know. I just know I don't want this to be over.
She saw a flicker of surprise in his eyes, followed by something akin to relief.
Neither do I.
Taylor said, his voice rough with emotion. He pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. Lisa closed her eyes, inhaling the scent of leather and sandalwood that clung to him. It smelled like danger and comfort all at once. They stayed like that for a long moment, no words spoken, just the shared silence of two souls recognizing a kindred spirit. The storm had passed, leaving behind a sense of peace that surprised them both. They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, a tangled mess of limbs and unspoken promises. When the morning came, it brought with it the harsh reality of their situation. Lisa, true to her nature, tried to brush it off. She made a joke about their performance the night before, her tone light and teasing. But Taylor saw right through her facade. He caught her hand as she reached for her clothes, pulling her close.
Don't push me away.
Lisa met his gaze, her heart pounding in her chest. She saw a vulnerability in his eyes that mirrored her own, and in that moment she knew she couldn't walk away. They spent the day together, talking, laughing, sharing stories they had never shared with anyone else. They were an unlikely pair, the tattooed temptress and the ruggedly handsome loner. But somehow, they fit. Their connection was undeniable, a twisted harmony born out of chaos and desire. Their relationship was anything but conventional. They were two souls accustomed to living life on their own terms, fiercely independent, yet they found solace in each other's chaos. They fought as passionately as they loved. Their arguments were legendary, a whirlwind of words and emotions that left them both drained but strangely exhilarated. But even in their anger, there was a deep-seated respect, an understanding that they were two sides of the same coin. Lisa, accustomed to guarded emotions, found herself opening up to Taylor in ways she never thought possible. She told him about her troubled past, the pain that had driven her to cover herself in tattoos, each one a symbol of her survival. Taylor, in turn, shared the stories behind his own scars, the battles he had fought, both internal and external. They were broken in their own ways. Yet together, they found a strange sort of healing. The years that followed were a blur of shared adventures and quiet moments of intimacy. They traveled the world together, their love a constant amidst the ever-changing scenery. They built a life together, unconventional and uniquely their own. They never married, never felt the need to define their relationship with a piece of paper. Their commitment to each other ran deeper than any legal document. It wasn't a fairy tale romance. There were fights, moments of doubt, threats of walking away. But through it all, their love remained, a constant in their chaotic world. They were two lost souls who had found their way home in each other. Their love story was a testament to the fact that sometimes the most unexpected connections are the strongest. And as Lisa looked at Taylor across a crowded room, years after that fateful night at the bar, she knew she wouldn't have it any other way. They were bound together by passion, by pain, by a love that defied definition. They were forever bound by the chaos that had brought them together.